A group of senators has reached a bipartisan deal to help the so-called dreamers who are undocumented but came to this country as children. We have yet to see the specific language, but reportedly it would give a path to citizenship for the 1.8 million people involved. It would also allocate $25 billion for border security, but it would not address so-called chain migration or the visa lottery program. We welcome now one of the senators who has said he will support the compromise, Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota. The senator comes to us today from the Capitol. Thank you very much for being with us, Senator Rounds. An important day to talk with you. First of all, can you confirm the outlines of what I just said? Because we've not seen the language yet. Is that basically what the deal is?
I think you've included several pieces of it, but I think there's some more to it as well. And at this point, I wouldn't say that it's rock solid yet. We most certainly are looking at this as an alternative. I think on the Republican side, many of us would like to see the president's proposal as offered by Chairman Grassley have the opportunity to be voted on. And if we're not successful there, we don't want to give up on what the president wants to have done. He clearly has indicated an interest in having border security improved. He wants to get that done. We do too. He wants to address the issue of DACA. We do too. We think there are some issues in chain migration that we might be able to address, although it's more limited at this stage than many of us would like. And so of the three pillars, we think we can address pretty solidly two of those three, and perhaps a little bit into the third. With regard to the lottery right now, although we think we've had some really good discussions on it, we really haven't been able to come to a conclusion that would be solid for both sides to be able to get as many votes as we really need to have a bipartisan approach. Once again, for many of us on the conservative side, we'd prefer to have Chairman Grassley's proposal succeed, but we also recognize the reality that in the Senate you require 60 votes in order to proceed. We're not sure that that's going to happen.
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to ask. You need to get that magic 60 number, and it reportedly is going to be difficult to get there with the president's approach. But as I understand what you're saying, 1.8 million people, a path to citizenship, $25 billion on the border, some change perhaps in the chain migration, maybe not everything that the president would like, but some change, but maybe we might have to put off the lottery issue for some time. Is that a fair summary of what you just said?
Yeah, I think you're getting a lot closer to where we will probably end up. Once again, there may be some other modifications yet to be included. What we're trying to do is to find some common ground, one that can move it forward, move it over to where the president can take a good hard look and say, look, this is worth considering in the House, and perhaps having a compromise between the House and the Senate, like has been done, over the last 200 years. But until we get something that can actually get 60 votes out of the Senate, we don't get any results. What we're after is results, and one that the president would feel good about when we're all done. We need him to feel comfortable with it in order to be able to succeed.
Give us a bit more details on your proposal when it comes to family sponsorship chain migration, because this seems to be the key issue. Legal immigration seems to be somewhere where senators can't agree on, although you do agree on border security, you do agree on the path to citizenship.
We do on those items. I think that's become fairly popular among almost all of the different proposals. I'd rather not go into a lot more detail at this time. We simply want to make sure that we've had a chance to check with a number of the different co-sponsors so that, in this case, I think the end result is more important than coming out publicly with everything in the bill at this point.
So how many senators are on board with this proposal that you're backing right now? And do you believe that even if you get it passed in the Senate, it would pass the House?
We don't know if it would pass in the House, but that's one of the reasons why we want this to be a strong bipartisan attempt on both the Republican and the Democrat side. There's going to be some members in both sides who are going to look at this and say, it's not what I want. I'd prefer to simply vote no and not have any results. On the other side of it, there's going to be a group that says, look, we really have to get past this impasse. So we need a good, solid support offered by both Republicans and Democrats in order to go any place in the House and to get the approval of the president. I think the president clearly wants to see something that would be considered by conservatives as being right down with what he's been talking about. We're going to do the best we can to get everything that the president wants.
Senator Rounds, you've been quite clear more than once now in this conversation that this is important that it be something that, as I think you said, the president feels good about. As far as you can understand, because you understand the politics down there better than I do you need to get the White House at least to tacitly go along in order to get the vote in the House? Let's assume you get your 60 votes in the Senate. Then you have the question of whether the Speaker of the House is willing to put a vote. As a practical matter, does the president need to say at least, yes, it's okay with me to vote on that proposal?
I think that adds a huge opportunity for success. If the president's not on board, there's a lot of folks in the House who are up for election. They don't want the president being critical of a vote that they would take. So we're recognizing that. And honestly, a number of our Democrat colleagues have recognized that as well. That's one of the reasons why we've been able to put the resources aside on a continuing basis for the wall with some really good protections to make sure that the money is there as we need it for building the border security system that's critical to the president. And also the fact that this president has shown a real interest in trying to resolve the issue with these children that are impacted through no fault of their own. And so if we can really hit those and give the president that opportunity, and in the meantime, do the best we can with regard to some chain migration issues on a very minor basis, then at least we've taken the first steps. Once again, it may not be everything that everybody wants, but you know what? If we can take the steps to take these real serious issues out, maybe there's an opportunity for some real immigration reform with regular order, where the chairman from the different committees can jump in and can actually make some changes to immigration without all of the emotion that's involved in these particular issues.
Senator, we are now hearing from more judges blocking President Trump's move to end DACA. The latest one was a federal judge in Brooklyn. Do you believe you have more time, or are you trying to get a bill by this week?
We think it's best if we resolve this issue this week. Members have taken the time to come up to speed on the issues. They've worked very hard to be able to work with one another to make themselves more knowledgeable on it. This is our best shot at getting something out of the Senate that the president could seriously consider and hopefully be able to declare a victory with.